The relationship between Canada and the United States is very important for both countries, especially when it comes to trade. Recently, there have been disagreement over new tariffs, which are taxes on imported goods that the United States wants to put on Canadian products. This situation has led to strong reactions from Canadian leaders and has significant implications for both economies. Let's break down what's happening and why it's happening. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has been very outspoken against proposed US tariffs. In simple terms, he believes these taxes will harm both Canadian businesses and American consumers. Tariffs make it more expensive for American companies to buy Canadian products. This means Canadian businesses like those in the automobile, lumber, and oil sectors could see a drop in sales because their products become pricier for the Americans. When tariffs are applied, the cost of goods likely cars, lumber used for building, and oil increases. This means that the American consumer would have to pay more than these products, which can lead to a higher cost of living. During a press conference, Trudeau emphasized that the American people themselves are not the target of the tariffs. He hopes that everyone involved will use common sense to resolve this issue without making things worse. Doug Ford, the Premier of Ontario, a province in Canada, has also taken a strong stance against the proposed US tariffs. Ontario is considering limiting the amount of electricity to export to the United States, like Minnesota, Michigan, and New York. In 2023, Ontario provided electricity to about 1.5 million American homes. Ford mentioned that stopping these exports would be the last resort, but they are seriously thinking about it to protect Canada's economic interests. Doug Ford has announced a snap election scheduled for February 27, 2025. He wants a strong mandate from voters to take action against the US tariffs. Ford warns that these tariffs could severely hurt Ontario's economy and lead to significant job losses. He is asking voters to support him so he can implement measures that retaliation tariffs and stop selling to US made alcohol in Ontario protect the province's interests. In the response to US tariffs, Canada is planning to impose its own tariffs on American products. These retaliation tariffs are expected to be worth around 37 billion Canadian dollars. Here's what Canada is targeting. Citrus juice, especially orange juice from Florida, which is a major producer of citrus fruits. Steel products, certain types of steel that are imported for US steel manufacturers, could be targeted, making their products more expensive. Ceramic goods, items like sinks, toilets, and other ceramic products might face these new taxes. Dairy products, milk and other dairy items from the states like Wisconsin could be affected. Dishwashers, appliances made in states such as Michigan might see increased costs due to these tariffs. The complete list of targeted goods has not been officially released yet, but these are some of the main items under consideration. Impact on energy and fuel prices. Canada is a major supplier of crude oil to the United States, providing about 60% of the United States crude oil imports. If the US imposes a 25% target on Canadian oil, several things could happen. Disrupt supply chain. American oil factories that turn crude oil into usable products like gasoline would have to pay more for Canadian oil. This could lead to higher prices for American consumers. Experts warn that these tariffs could disrupt the energy markets, making gasoline and other fuels more expensive for people in the United States. How about the effect on food prices? The United States also imports a lot of agricultural products from Canada, including nearly $3 billion worth of beef each year. The proposed tariffs could have the following effects. Higher food prices. Experts believe that food prices in the United States could increase by as much as 25%. This means that American families might have to spend nearly an extra $185 each year on groceries. Impact on low income. Families with lower incomes would be hit the hardest by these prices increase, making it more difficult for them to afford basic necessities. Canada's fair approach. The Canadian government has stated that any retaliation tariffs they impose will be spread out fairly across the region and not target just one specific province or industry. Here's how they're planned to ensure fairness. Equitable distribution. Jonathan Wilkinson, the Minister of Energy and Natural Resources, emphasized that Canada's response would focus more on affecting Americans' interests rather than harming Canadians. The tariffs would not disproportionately affect one sector or region within Canada, potentially for escalating if the United States move forward on the tariffs. Canada is prepared to increase its retaliation measures to affect more than 100 billion Canadian dollars. This large-scale response is intended to put significant economic pressure on the US to consider its tariff plan. Reducing energy exports. Canada is also contemplating reducing the amount of energy it exports to the United States. Currently, Canada supplies about 20% of the oil and that the US consumes. Here's what this could mean. Impact on US energy markets. Cutting back on energy exports could lead to higher fuel costs and supply issues to the US, affecting both consumers as well as businesses. This idea should spark disagreement among Canadian provincial leaders. For example, Alberta's Premier Danielle Smith opposed reducing oil exports. She argues that it could hurt the province's economy by decreasing demand of Alberta's oil, leading to job losses and reduced revenue. The situation between Canada and the United States regarding these proposed tariffs is complex and has significant implications for both countries. Prime Minister Trudeau and Premier Ford are taking strong actions to protect Canadian industries and consumers. At the same time, these measures could lead to higher prices for goods and energy in the US, affecting American families as well as business. Within Canada, there is a debate about the best way to respond, with some leaders concerned about the economic impact on their own province. As situations develop, both countries will need to navigate these challenges to maintain their economic relationship and minimize negative effects on the populations. The key takeaways: taxes on imported goods that can make products more expensive and affect both producers and consumers. Actions taken by a country to respond to tariffs imposed by another country, often by imposing their own tariffs. Tariffs can lead to higher prices for goods, disrupt the supply chains, and impact jobs as well as industry. Leaders may take political steps like calling for elections to gain support for their measures against tariff. Trade dispute can strain relationship between countries and require careful negotiation to resolve. Understanding these dynamics is crucial as they affect everyday products, prices, and overall economy in both Canada as well as the United States. Please leave a comment below and let me know what your thoughts are.